Okay, this is a demo for the SUL-PUB team. We're doing demos sort of 2 sprints at a time, so the sprints are only 1 week long. So this is really covering sprints 3 and 4. There is not a lot of code or UI to show off. So what I'll do is just talk a little bit about the main tasks that were worked on. And again, this code base is basically all back end. So we harvest citations for Stanford authors and feed these via an API to the profile system. And so all the code we're working on, really, the only access point is via an API. Okay, so what did we do last time, or the last couple weeks? So we've had kind of a few main thrusts. One is getting Daniel up to speed in terms of Ruby, Rails, and our sort of process for writing code, and so that we captured that work in our backlog, and that took place. We also did a bunch of analysis over the course of both weeks, and that involved some work in first confirming that the new API that we need to switch to met the minimum requirements. For example, can we make all the queries that we need to, and confirming that we can run the query and that it returns results that sort of match some expectations that we have. And so you can see there's some analysis work here in terms of looking at the results coming back from specific name queries and do they actually make sense. We also did some work in comparing the fields that are coming back from the new API versus the old API to get a sense of is the data that's coming back in a results set roughly equivalent to what we're getting back now. We also did some work in writing new classes that can make the calls to the new API. So this actually happened before some of the analysis work, so we could actually make the call itself and look at results. Okay, let's look at sprint 4. So in here, what we did is looked in more detail at the results that are coming back and determined that we actually have Medline results as well as sort of Web of Science database results. And so we compared those 2 results at a field level to see what's coming back. And we did some analysis to figure out, do we actually need to go to PubMed to enhance the metadata for records that exist both in Web of Science and Medline? In theory, we wouldn't have to, because Clarivate often has both those records, but unfortunately they don't merge them in any meaningful way, nor do they even give us a clue that there is a Medline record. So unfortunately for us, we confirmed the fact that their API does not return this information to us by looking at records coming back. That's what some of these tickets are about, and that means we need to continue to go to PubMed, and even worse, we need to go even to figure out if there is a PubMed ID for any of these publications. We started work on the persistence of the results coming back into the database, which involves storing the response coming back. That's what this ticket's about. And work on taking that record and putting it into a data structure, what we call a publication, that is actually what is fed to the profile system. So essentially what we're trying to do is abstract out the fact that the response itself is changing. We're normalizing that into a data structure which will remain unchanged going forward, so that the profile system can continue to use the same API, continue to get the same data structure back. So that's a quick summary of the work that's going on. The new work that's happening is continuation of creating these publication records, and then some work in cleaning up some bad identifier data that we currently have. And the reason for doing that is to ensure that when we begin harvesting from the new API, we don't create duplicate publications, because the records that are coming back from the new API are going to be different than the records that we currently have, yet we know that a large majority of them are actually referring to the same publication, because obviously the databases are going back in time and we've already harvested a large fraction of those. So we need to, when we get results set back, as good as possible, confirm if they already exist, and then not add them if they do. So there's kind of work in going on in this sprint to work on that problem. Okay, that's it.